Hello and welcome to our virtual yoga class. We'll begin class by laying on our backs, so take a moment to find your way there. Noticing that in this portion of the class is an opportunity to start slowing down, checking in with the body, preparing yourself for the rest of the class. Inhale deeply and then exhale, release. Notice the quality of your breath to the best of your ability. Increase the length of that inhale and exhale just a little bit more. Throughout the class, we'll continuously go back to the breath as both a grounding and meditative tool, but also for it to be part of that holistic practice of working on our physical strength, our mental body, and our emotional body, to work on our flexibility, strength, and balance. Noticing that the quality of our breath supports us in all of those textures. You can inhale here, exhale, sigh it out. About 5 more breaths here. Soften the neck, shoulders, down the length of the spine, hips, down to your toes. Noticing that as we invite a full breath, we invite our experience. At any time, inhale here, exhale, sigh it out. And then we'll start to invite a full body stretch, lifting our arms up overhead. Point your toes, lift your abdomen up towards the ceiling. Separate your shoulder blades, anything to open up throughout the arms and shoulders, the length of the spine, down to your toes. The breath here. And then release your hands. Bend both knees. And now rest that right ankle on top of your left thigh. Leave your right hand between your legs. Interlace your fingers right behind that left thigh. Now you're stretching that right hip. You can intensify that stretch by bringing your leg closer towards you and hold here. Breathe into that boundary. See if you can fold a little bit more. Let your breath guide you. And then release. Opposite side, left ankle rests on top of that right thigh. Leave your left hand between your legs. Interlace your fingers behind that right knee. And hold. Focus on your left hip. Hang in here or bring your thigh closer towards your belly, your chest. Inhale here. Exhale, release. Plant your feet on the floor, ground your hands on the mat. We'll start to lengthen up. Keep your legs long out in front of you. Now we'll press that right foot right against your left thigh. Lengthen the spine, draw your shoulders down. And then optional if you want to flex that left foot for a more intense stretch and to deepen that stretch into the calf muscle. or you can relax that left foot. Now fold, leading through your chest, your heart. Hands can reach anywhere, your thigh, shins, or toes. Once again, we're inviting a focused breath here to assist us in our flexibility. So you're noticing where your boundary is. That's the point where you just kind of naturally stop. You breathe into that space. And then you use your breath to support you as you fold just a little bit more. You can always be subtle. Three more breaths. And then release the pose. Right leg lengthens. Press your left foot right against your thigh, lengthen your spine. You can always invite a little bend to your knee for extra support, and then drop your belly towards your thigh. Hold. Quite a few breaths here. Inhaling and exhaling, breathing to your flexibility. Softening neck and shoulders simultaneously. Three more breaths. Inhale here. And exhale. Release. Shift into a cross-legged position. We're going to come into a twist here. So you'll take that left hand, cross it over to that right knee, and then twist towards the right. Chin shifts towards your shoulder, your spine is long, and you're really using that grip to intensify that twist. Release, opposite side. Left fingertips behind you. Take your gaze towards your shoulder. Lengthen your spine. Intensify that twist by gripping your knee firmly. And then release. Opposite side. And then one more time, last side. Take a breath. There we go, release, that expands and open throughout the spine. Inhale up, lift your arms up overhead. Interlace your fingers, palms up towards the ceiling. A nice stretch here throughout the arms and shoulders. Let's stretch throughout the side body by stretching towards the left side of the room. And then towards the right. Inhale here. Exhale, come back to center. Let's release our hands. Interlace your fingers behind you. Sit your shoulder blades closer together. Lift your chin. Exhale, release. Release your shoulders, hands on knees, 3 shoulder shrugs. We lift our shoulders up towards our ears and we draw them down. Now, as I draw my shoulders down, I purposely bring my shoulder blades closer together. Shoulders are drawn down. Shift into a tabletop. Knees, hips width distance apart. And then hands beneath your shoulders. This is just a good rule of thumb. You don't want your hands too forward or too inward. Hands right beneath your shoulders. You're going to inhale up into a cow pose and then round our spine into our cat pose. Move at your own pace with your breath. Inhaling up. I'm lifting my tailbone as much as I can, opening my chest. Exhale. I'm tucking my chin towards my chest as much as I can. One more breath. Exhale, round your spine. Neutral tabletop position. Lift your leg. Bend your knees. Stack your hips to the left. Hold here. And now round your spine. Knee towards chest, chin towards chest. Once more, lift your leg. Bend your knee. Stack your hips. You're opening throughout the hips, opening throughout the lower back, opening throughout the glutes. And then release your knee. Opposite side, lift that right leg, bend your knees, stack your hips. Round your spine, knee towards chest, chin towards chest, press through your palms. And now lift your leg, bend your knees, stack your hips. Last round, round your spine. Release your knee onto the floor. We're going to shift down into a child's pose. Inch that left hand towards the right corner of your mat. Elbow floats off the mat. And then release. Right hand inches towards the left corner of your mat. And then release your hand. Start to shift back up into your tabletop. From your tabletop, we'll just go ahead and shift into our downward facing dog. So here you can take your hands forward and then lift up into your down dog. You're lifting your hips as high as you can here. Bring your chest closer towards your thighs. Distribute weight from your toes to your paws. And now plank pose. Extend your spine. And then release down towards the floor. Inhale up. Upward facing dog. Tops of the feet on the floor. And then shift back up into your downward facing dog. Remain here in this down dog. As a reminder, you always have a choice to take up tabletop as an alternative. So we're going to go through a couple of times of this flow. From downward facing dog, go ahead and shift into your plank pose, exhaling down towards the floor. And then inhaling up into your upward facing dog. Finding that extension throughout the spine and then downward facing dog. Take a breath here. 3 more times. Plank pose. On an exhale, you release down towards the floor. Inhale up, upward facing dog. Exhale, down dog. Find that breath. Plank pose, down towards the floor. Inhale up, upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Find a generous breath here. 3rd time. Plank pose, down towards the floor. Elbows remain close to your torso as you release down and inhale up, tops of the feet on the floor. Find that extension throughout the spine in your upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Create that heat. Last round. Plank pose, release down towards the floor. Inhale up, upward facing dog. And then exhale up into your downward facing dog. In that down dog, you can, or tabletop, lift your left leg, bend your left knee, stack your hips. Release your foot down towards the floor. Opposite side, lift that right leg, bend that knee, stack your hips. Release your foot down towards the floor and then take a child's pose. Either knees close together or knees towards the edges of your mat. Remain in that child's pose about 5 breaths. You don't have to count the breath. Gather that breath that supports you. You've warmed up the body. You can increase the length of your inhale and exhale to invite that focus. Noticing that as we invite an intentional breath and we welcome our breath, we're building that bridge of the physical, mental, emotional body. It's part of a holistic yoga practice. You can inhale here, exhale, sigh it out. And then from your child's pose, start to shift out of your child's pose. Tabletop, shift your hands right beneath your shoulders. Side body stretch here. Lift your left arm up towards the ceiling. Side body stretch, you're also opening throughout the length of the arm and shoulder. I'm reaching that hand up and back. And then release. Opposite side, right hand reaches up towards the ceiling. Exhale, release. Lift up, downward facing dog. Take your gaze between your hands, walk or jump up to that forward fold. From here, take that left hand on the floor, lift your right arm up towards the ceiling, bend that left knee generously. Opposite side, right hand on the floor, bend that right knee generously, lift your left arm up towards the ceiling. Release your hand down towards the floor. You're going to roll up slowly, head comes up, relax. Distribute weight from all edges of your feet, outside edges, inside edges. Slowly lengthen your spine. Hands frame your hips or hands meet in front of your heart center. 3 breaths here. You can inhale here, exhale, sigh it out. As we slow down our breath, we slow down our relationship with time. There is no hurry. You can release your to-do lists for later in the day. You can release the to-do list from earlier in the day. And then release your hands. Now we're going to lift up into an extended mountain pose. That means we lift our arms up overhead. And then palms face each other, chest is open. You can lift your gaze up. Now be strong here. You're noticing your toes and your heels firmly grounded on the floor. Spine is long, shoulders relaxed. Your arms are strong here. Exhale, bend your knees, fold down into a forward fold. Now we're going to fold down here. Now take your hands to your shins. Inhale halfway up. Now your back is flat and your shoulders are rolled back. Exhale, release. Notice your head is relaxed. Second round out of 3. Inhale halfway up. I still have a little bend to my knees. Exhale, release. Perhaps your bend to your knees is more generous as you fold. Third round, inhale halfway up. Exhale, release. And then we'll take an energized way to standing. Let's sweep our arms up overhead. Hands in front of heart center or hands framing hips. Shoulders drawn down. Inhale, exhale. Second extended mountain pose. We lift our arms up overhead. We're grounded through our feet. Core is active. Chest is open. I'm extending throughout the spine. Bend your knees. Start to dive down. 3 rounds. Inhale, halfway up. Being purposeful and keeping that back flat. Shoulders drawn back. Exhale, release. Neck is soft and head is relaxed. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release, and third round. Now, after this third round, be purposeful in how you lift up to standing. Make it your practice, your choice. Anytime you lift to standing is a good time to reset, re-engage with the breath. Inhale here. Exhale. We'll start to shift into a warrior 2. In that warrior 2, we take our left foot forward and we step our right leg back, and our hips are naturally open here. You take that left forearm to stack over that left thigh, right arm behind you. You can take a moment to look at that right arm, check that both arms are parallel to the floor. Imagine a line of energy from one fingertip to the other. Now you can take your gaze over your left fingertips. Hold. Ground through your heels. Legs are strong. Your legs are these scissors attempting to close, but they can't. That means your glutes and your quads are engaged and active. It's a strong pose, a grounded pose. We release that right hand behind our thigh. Lift our left arm up. Keep a bend to our knee. Back to center. Inhale here. Exhale. Release your elbow right onto your thigh. Lift your right arm up towards the ceiling. Take your gaze up. Draw that right shoulder back. Start to extend that left knee. Either keep your elbow on your thigh or drop that hand to your shin, ankle, or all the way down towards the floor. Either taking your gaze up towards the ceiling or releasing your gaze down towards the floor. Hold. Deep belly breath. Don't forget that deep belly breath. Now drop both hands onto the floor. Pivot that right foot so your toes face the front of the room. Now optional, keep that right leg extended or release your right knee on the floor. Press that right hand right beneath your shoulder on the mat. Lift your left arm up towards the ceiling. Once again, that right knee can be on the floor or you can extend that right leg. Generous breath here. Release your left hand, step back into your plank pose. Hold your plank pose, and then lift into your downward facing dog. Take a breath there in your downward facing dog. If you want to take a vinyasa plank pose towards the floor, inhale up into your upward facing dog. You have that option. Take your gaze between your hands. Walk or jump up to that forward fold. Your choice how you come up to standing. Hands either framing your hips or hands in front of your heart center. Generous breath. Inhale. Exhale. Release your hands. Warrior 2, opposite side. This time our right foot steps forward and our left leg steps back. That left foot is in a diagonal and there's a 90-degree bend to that right knee. Right arm over that left forearm, then take that left arm out behind you. So there's a natural opening to the hips here. Take your gaze over that right hand. Shoulders are drawn down. Imagine a line of energy from one fingertip to the other energy. Your feet are grounded, legs are active. Strong pose. Release that left hand behind your thigh. Lift that right arm up. Side body stretch or strengthening throughout the lower back. Back to center. Warrior two. And now release that elbow right on top of your thigh. Lift that left arm up and hold. Sink that right hip down towards the floor. And now, either remain here or extend that right knee. Drop your hand towards the floor. Grab your ankle or your shin. 2 deep belly breaths here. Always noticing that balance of effort and ease in each pose. Release that left hand to frame that right foot. Optional, keep that left leg extended behind you. Plant that left palm firmly right beneath your shoulder. Lift that right arm up towards the ceiling. Find that effort and ease, generous breath. Release that hand down towards the floor, step back. Plank pose. From your plank pose, downward facing dog. Hold your down dog. Optional, move through your vinyasa. Plank pose, down towards the floor. Inhale up, upward facing dog. Once in down dog, release your knees down towards the floor. Take your hands right beneath your shoulders. Balance pose, we'll lift our left leg up and then lift our right arm so it's parallel to the floor. Gaze downward towards the floor or take your gaze forward. Release that right hand, bend your knees, stack your hips. Second round, leg is extended behind you, lift that right arm up. Lift your core up towards the ceiling. Press through that left palm. Release that right hand, round your spine, knee towards chest. Drop your knee on the floor, inhale up, cow pose. Exhale, round your spine. Opposite side, lift that right leg, it's parallel to the floor. And then lift your left arm up. Left hand on the floor, bend your knees, stack your hips. Lengthen your leg. Lift your left arm. Lots of strength here throughout glutes and quads, core. Hold. Now drop that left hand around your spine, knee towards chest. Drop your knee on the floor, and then step back, child's pose. Five breaths here, inhale, exhale. Inhale, belly expand. And after a breath, in your child's pose, start to ease out of your child's pose. And now transition into your seat. Once in that seat, hands rest on your knees. 3 breaths here. Eyes closed or eyes open, focusing on a point across the floor or room. Spine is long, check your posture, draw your shoulders down. Core is active, chest is open. Your body is strong, alert, yet relaxed. If your eyes are closed, you can open your eyes. We'll take our chin and shift it over our right shoulder or towards our right shoulder. Open up throughout the neck here. And the opposite side. Back to neutral. Lift your chin up towards the ceiling. Open the throat. And exhale, release your chin towards your chest. Open throughout the back, upper back shoulders here. And moving at your own pace, start to roll your head from one shoulder to the next, either half a circle or a full circle. A few breaths here. If you prefer to work on meditation, go ahead and work on meditation. Start to bring your head back to a neutral position. And then we'll take a breath, welcoming our breath. Inhale here, you can exhale side out. If your eyes are closed, you start to open your eyes. Little core workout before laying down. Make sure you have room behind you. We're going to come into a boat pose. Now you have two options. You can take your arms out, palms up towards the ceiling, or you can take your hands behind your thighs for support. Now you're activating a lot of glute strength, quad strength, and core strength. Now for the core, imagine a cord lift your chest up or lift your abdomen up towards the ceiling. You're lengthening your legs as high as you can. Again, you can take your hands behind your thighs. It's going to give you some extra support, especially in lifting the upper body. Hold. Lift that cord up towards the ceiling. This is a pose of strength and balance. Take an even breath here, at least one. Always noticing that effort and ease. Start to lengthen your legs out. Palms up towards the ceiling. Slowly release. Find a point to hover. Chin towards chest. Your feet can float off the floor. Any shaking is fine. And then drop your head all the way back. Deep breath here. Bend your right knee, take your hands around your knee, round your spine, forehead towards knee, and then drop your head back. Opposite side, bend your left knee, round your spine. Drop your head back, Bend both knees, soles of the feet on the floor. Now we're preparing for bridge pose here. You're distributing weight on your heels, palms on the floor. Lift your hips as high as you can. So you have a tendency to kind of stop about 3/4 of the way. Try to lift as high as you can. That means you're engaging your glutes and your quads significantly more. Once again, we're imagining that core to lift our abdomen up towards the ceiling. Release your hips down towards the floor. Take a breath. And now lift your hips as high as you can. If you want to invite an upper body stretch and also strength, you can interlace your fingers and then after interlacing your fingers, purposely draw your shoulder blades closer together. Once more, distributing weight on your heels, the edges of your feet, outside and inside, and toes. Distribute your weight there and lift your heels as high as you can. Or not your heels, your hips. Lift your hips as high as you can. Stretch here throughout the abdomen, full diaphragm breathing, and release. The breath. Last round. Optional if you want to interlace your fingers together. Lift your hips as high as you can. And then release your hips down towards the floor. Feet float off the floor. Hands to knees. Rock to the left and to the right. Release so that your feet touch. Butterfly pose. Knees are bent. Inhale. Exhale. Take a couple of full breaths here. The fullest breath that you can. We tend to have shallow breathing throughout the day. It's good to familiarize with yourself with your deep breath. Just take a few. It's actually quite difficult to maintain deep lung breaths over a period of time. So just a few to acquaint yourself with that full expansion of the belly, that release. Softening the neck and hips. Perhaps imagining those knees fall further towards the floor. Another deep breath, and after that deep breath, feel free to go back to your natural breathing pattern, no control of the breath, or continue these long breaths. Depends on what you're comfortable with. This is a restorative pose. It's a pose of softening and letting go. Lots of opening here around the hips. Take a breath. And then we'll start to transition into our final resting pose, our Shavasana. Lengthen your legs out in front, back on the floor, palms framing your hips, facing the ceiling. Let this be a pose where you have to do nothing. It's a purposeful pose of doing nothing. Release any expectations and just notice any thoughts or sensations without judgment, just noticing. Do soften your neck and shoulders, down the length of your arms, from your palms to your fingertips. And soften the upper back, mid back, and lower back. All the way down to your hips, behind your knees, down to your ankles and toes. Inviting a natural breath or deep breaths. We'll start to shift our attention back to our breath, inviting a generous and leisurely inhale and exhale. Restoring some movement to our fingertips and toes. You can invite a full body stretch, so lifting your arms up overhead. And or you can turn your body to your side, allowing it to remain heavy and relaxed. Once more, return to your generous and your leisurely breath, the particular type of breath. And then after a breath or two, we'll start to make our way to our seat. And cross-legged on your ankles, so if you need to stretch out your legs, go ahead and do that. As you shift into your seat, do invite the presence you've been cultivating throughout the class. Lengthening the spine, drawing the shoulders down, chin is neutral, whatever expression can help invite that extra bit of integrity and presence. And then we'll take a moment here to appreciate our breath, noticing that by tuning to our breath, we are welcoming our experience, good or bad. We're cultivating that skill of observing with neutrality and honoring what's there. So we'll seal the class in gratitude of our breath, in gratitude of our experience, and in gratitude of our bodies. Let's take our hands in front of our heart center and an intentional breath here. Let's inhale here and exhale. And in the tradition of yoga, the highest in me sees the highest in you. Namaste.